Hi. So for the arrays and lists program, we create a method called palindrome. So what happens inside is we initialize two variables called I and j. So I is set to 0 initially, and j is set to the length of the array minus 1. So an array has been passed in through. So the length of that array minus 1. So there's a while loop going inside until it's true. So if I is greater than j, it returns the value of true and it stops the value. If not, it goes inside and a becomes the value of the value inside array I, and b becomes the value for j inside array. Jth portion array becomes to b, goes to b, and if a is not equal to b, then it returns false, and j is increment number y, and I is increment number y, and j is decreased by 1. So that's what happens in a palindrome. So basically what this is doing is it's checking if the first and the last term is equal to the second and the one before the last until all the terms are done. So going to the main program. So we are creating an array called myArray with 10 double slots. So initially the myArray first portion, which is 0, is set to 1.0, and all of the others are set, as you can see, until the 10th portion, which is myArray 9 is equal to 1.9. And what we do here is we're just outputting the values just to show that it has been stored. Going furthermore, we're creating another array called myNewArray with 10 integers. So the first one we manually input it. We input it line by line in a sequence, and in this one we're actually going to do it with a loop. So what happens inside the loop is the myArray new, the ith value is equal to I. So basically if it's myNewArray 2, it gives the value of 2, and in the next loop it outputs all the 10. So rather than putting in a sequence, it outputs it in a loop. Moving again, we create another array called student array and gives the values as this. Initialize a total to 0, and another loop is gone, just to find the total. So the total equals to total plus the student array position 1. So it goes from 0 to 9, so basically 10 times. So every time it goes, it adds these numbers here, and then we output the total saying total mark, and then using the student array, the length function here, we could actually grab the length of the array. So it says this array contains of this many values in it. So therefore you could find the average from the total we found divided by the length. Moving again, we're creating another array with 6 string values in it. So inside the loop again, we actually asked this time we could actually enter for this user to enter 6 names. So the name to be entered, so enter name of student, and it reads the name 6 times. And what does here is it outputs the position of the array and the index of the array and the value of the array the index contains. Moving further again, yeah, so we're taking another array called numArray and giving it 10. So the current size for set to 0, and the current largest, the current smallest, and number. So what we're doing in this part is actually telling the user to input 10 numbers, and the number array first position is put into the number which is entered is put into the array, and the current size is being incremented by 1. So basically the current largest is set to the first position, the first number, and the current smallest is also set to the first number. So inside another loop, what happens here is it checks if the number is greater than the current largest, And then if it is, it's set to be the largest. Same way for the smallest. If it's lesser than the smallest one, it's set to be small. And then what here, it just outputs the element, the set of elements which has been inputted. And then we output the largest number, and then we output the smallest number. And moving on, we create a two-dimensional array here with 3 rows and 4 columns, and these are the values we enter for it. So what happens in the loop here is it actually accesses, it prints out all the values. So 1 2 3 4 and 1 1 1 1 and 2 2 2 2. Yeah. So here we create another array called my student list with a list. Then we actually create a list, not array, a my student list. And we take a value, we take a variable called random value and use the random function. So if the random, so what we do is the random function creates a number between 1 and 12. And then we output saying you will need to add the random number, the value which comes of students to your class. So a loop is done until the value of the random number which is generated to be going on. So it says, please enter name of the student, and it reads it, the value. It just, this runs for the certain number of times which is calculated by the random number. And what happens is it outputs the inputted list, and that's how a list works there. And so what happens here is we just create 2 arrays saying test array 1, test array 2, and put these, and we check if the palindrome works. So in the first one, so 12 is not equal to 12, so it should come out saying false. But in the second one, where 12 and 12 is equal, 42 is equal, 53 is equal, so it should return true. So if I run the program, it outputs the first part here as this, and then this part is also being processed here. And then it says to enter name of student. So for example, let's go with Max, Tom, and just random names. 6 names. So it's 1 2 3 4 5 6. And then it says the index value of 0 has these values, like here. And then it says to enter a number. So let's go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. And then the largest number of the array is 10, which is yes, and the smallest number of the array is 1, which is true. And then this part works here, showing that the two-dimensional array is being processed here. So 1 2 3 4 1 1 1 1 2 2 2 2, and then it says it's generated. Going to the next part and says the list. So the random value that is generated is 8. So we're supposed to add 8 names. So let's go with GGG, KKK, so 8 names, and the 8 names are being outputted. And for the palindrome part, as I told, the first one is not a palindrome, so it comes as false. The second one is, so it comes as true. And that's the end of the program. Thank you.